Hello everyone, this is going to be my very last video on the Astros 2017 cheating scandal. Very last. I promise you 100% that after this video, I'm not going to talk about it at all. And after watching this video, if y'all are watching it, and y'all look at the links I'm putting in the description, and y'all go through everything I'm saying, and you look at all the links that prove everything that I'm saying, then you know what? If you still think the Astros World Series is illegitimate, and you still think that they only won because they were cheating, then you're officially dumb and you really don't care about the sport. You're just an Astros hater who hates the Astros and want the Astros to just die off because you hate the fact that they're good. And you hate Texas. You hate Texas, and we're Texas, and you hate the Astros, and you just don't want us to be successful. You just hate us. That's what it is. You're a hypocritical person who doesn't really care about the sport. You just hate our team. Because no matter what y'all say, we're still going to be 2017 World Series champs. This ring is going to be 100% legitimate. Because guess what? The facts don't care about how you feel. And what y'all don't realize is exactly what this World Series meant to us, which I will get to at the very end, and why, no matter what happens, Houstonians will defend this World Series, no matter what. Now, first off, let's go through all the teams that the Astros went through to get to the World Series title. First, you have the Red Sox. They beat the Red Sox. They were caught cheating. There's two articles I have linked that prove this. If you don't think the Red Sox were cheating in 2017 and 2018 when they were already caught, then you're officially living under a rock because they were the second team to be exposed, but they just didn't go through the whole media attention that the Astros did. Why? Because they don't hate the Red Sox as much for some odd reason. The Yankees cheated. Not only did they cheat, but again, they were covered up by the MLB. If you don't think they cheated, then you're just a extremely biased person at that point. The Dodgers cheated. I have my YouTube video that proves it, my previous video. And then I have multiple articles that show it as well under here that you can do the link to. Those are the three teams we played in the World Series, in the playoffs. We first beat the Red Sox, they were caught cheating. We then beat the Yankees, who were also cheating, and we beat the Dodgers, who were also cheating. So if them three were cheating, and we were cheating, then who does the title go to? You go through every single team and find the one team that didn't cheat, which is impossible? Good luck. And because, and linked in the article, this is a widespread issue. Multiple teams have cheated. This ain't no Astros thing. This ain't no 4-team thing. This is a widespread MLB issue, just like steroids were. Steroids wasn't a one-person thing. It still isn't just a one-person thing. There's still people who take steroids. There's still pitchers on every single team that use illegal substances on the ball. And you know what? Yeah. People don't really care about that stuff no more. Right now, they're focused on using electronics to steal signs. Even though it's one of the most unhelpful thing in the world. Secondly, when it comes to the actual playoffs, the Astros didn't cheat in the playoffs. The Astros were cleared of cheating in the playoffs, or at least there's no evidence of them cheating in the playoffs. None whatsoever, period, of them cheating in the playoffs. None. The Astros, I have two articles about that, talking about that. And yeah, two articles about that. And then, guess what? The rule wasn't passed until after 2017 anyways. So guess what? It was legal to use the camera to steal the signs. That rule wasn't passed until after the 2017 season. Again, there's an article about it. This is a New York article about it. So it's not even an actual biased article. It's New York. The New York Yankees are saying this. It's so ironic Because they say the rule wasn't passed in 2017, but remember they still cheated in 2017, even though the rule wasn't passed yet. So if the Yankees did it in 2017, the rule wasn't passed, so we're safe. But the Astros did it in 2017, and it wasn't passed, but they're still guilty. I don't understand that article just falls apart very fast when you read it. But he is right. This rule, again, I said it a long time ago. Was it even a thing yet? The Astros whole setup was legal. You know what was illegal at the time? Relaying the signs using electronic like Apple Watches. How did the Astros relay the signs? Banging on a trash can. Is that an electronic? No. 100% legal. They didn't cheat. Right there. Technically, they didn't cheat that year. At all. Also, if you want to still call it cheating, they didn't win the World Series because of it. Guess what? Here's a YouTube video, here's an LA Times video, and here are the actual stats. They did better away. They did better on the road than they did at home. First off, their home record was 48 to 33. They had 48 wins. The road record was 53 to 28. They had 48 wins on at home and 53 on the road. They won more games on the road. If this really gave them that such an unfair advantage, how are they better on the road? Y'all seem to have forgotten the fact that the whole 2017 season, the fact that they won the World Series was all about the fact that they learned how to play on the road. In fact, the main story about how good the Astros were was their road games. They were amazing on the road. They were road warriors. That's who the Astros were. That was the whole thing. And if you look at batting averages, they were still better on the road. At home, they batted on average 279. Away, 284. They did better on the road again. The slugging percentage was better on the road. They slugged 472 and they slugged 472 at home and 483 on the road. Again, better on the road. Their on base percentage was better on the road than at home. They were 340 at home and 351 on the road. Their WRC plus was equal in both home, in a way, at both 121. They struck out more at home, or actually, the one thing they did struck out like less, but it's negligible at best. They struck out 16.7% at home and 17.9% on the road, like a 1% difference. That's negligible at best. That's kind of what you expect. Seems to do a little bit better. In fact, most teams tend to do a lot better at home. Look at the Dallas Cowboys with. Look at the Yankees in 2017. They were way better at home than on the road. Just saying, and they were actually cheating. But base on balls percentage. Uh, they got on base from on balls 7.7% of the time at home, but 8.5% of the time on the road. Again, better on the road. And then you have to know this huge thing. Like I said, this whole thing is supposed to help them score runs and win games. They won more games on the road, and they scored way more runs on the road. They scored 395s at home. 395 runs at home. That's pretty good. 501 on the road. 501. And then you want to look, oh, but the Astros were really good at home in the playoffs. So was every single team. All the way up to the World Series, home teams, what was it, like 28 to 8? 23 to 8? Home teams were way amazing at home. The only team that did good on the road were the Dodgers. They were like one of the only teams good on the road in the 2017 playoff series. And then you had two teams, both good at home and both pretty good on the road as well. And so, you know what? If the Astros really had super advantage, then why was it 2-2 in Dodger Stadium and 2-1 at home? It's not that much of a difference again. You can't look at all of this and sit there and say that 2017 title is illegitimate when one, they weren't even breaking the rules. And you can't sit there and say they won the World Series title whenever because of the sign stealing when it made them worse. it made them worse. If y'all are sitting here thinking the Astros are going to start sucking this year, y'all are fools. If you think they're going to start doing a little worse than this year because of this, or even next year, y'all are fools. Because again, if you look at the stats, they did better when they weren't cheating. So basically, if they were still cheating in 2018 and 2019 and doing this, from what we see, basically all you did was took that little chain that's holding them back, broke it off, and said, "Here, run free, terrorize the league for the next decade." Y'all just unleashed a beast, basically. And I want to talk about this World Series as well. If you still want to try to talk about the World Series being illegitimate, let's talk about the World Series. Because they had to win 4 games to win that title. To get this, they had to win 4 games, right? That's pretty correct. First, they didn't cheat in the World Series because, again, articles, it was supposedly impossible to cheat in playoffs. And two, there's still no evidence of them cheating in the World Series. The only thing that's coming out is whistling, but there's nothing that supports that claim. Nothing. And I'm sorry, if you think that the Astros were relaying signs using the charge whistle, you're dumb. Go to one Astros game and you'll see how impossible that is. Okay, there's a fan in the crowds almost half the time doing a charge whistle like every single pitch. It seems like it's pretty difficult to do that. Okay, one, it can be only done. So here's the thing: if you still think that they were cheating the World Series, let's go over this thing. One, it can only be done at home. So any win they get on the road is automatically legitimate, no matter what. Two, the signal they gave out to relay the pitches wouldn't start until the fourth. According to every single study that had been done, the trash banging didn't start until the fourth or later. So, guess what? If the Astros got any runs before that fourth inning, those runs are 100% legitimate. And then three, they literally did worse when they were cheating at home. That'll be irrelevant later. Now, the first game they won was game 2. That was on the road. Legitimate automatically. That's already 1-0. That's one of the 4 wins. The other one that was legitimate was, again, game 7. Game 2 and game 7 were in Dodger Stadium. They couldn't do that. The whole relay system that they had, they couldn't do it on the road. It was impossible. So, you know what? Those two, 100% legitimate. That's 2 of the wins they need. Right there, already done. That's half the wins. Meaning the other half were at home. Getting 2 wins on a 3 homestand shouldn't be too difficult. But you know what? Let's go over them. Let's go over the first one. First one is game 3. Now, the second one, it was at home, but it's still 100% legitimate, no matter how you look at it, because they got the first 4 runs in the second inning. That's before the cheating would have an effect on anything. Because remember, the signs being broken down and being relayed wouldn't, the banging trash cans that y'all mock us for, wouldn't start until that 4th inning. So with that concept in mind, those 4 runs they got in the second inning, 100% legitimate. Dodgers through that entire 9-inning stretch scored 3 runs. So that second inning alone was enough to beat the Dodgers. That's 3 of the 4 already. The only one you can dispute in any way was the legendary Game 5. The greatest game in that World Series. But then you realize it falls apart whenever they do worse when they were cheating. They did way worse when they were cheating. They scored again on the road. They scored 501 runs when they couldn't cheat, and at home when they were cheating, 351 or whatever it was. What was it? It was 501 on the road, and at home 395. There we go. 395 versus 501. That much of a difference. That means if they were cheating and they scored 13 runs in that epic game, this That game 5 would not have been an epic. It would have been a smackdown with the Astros scoring 23 runs in a non-cheating version. That's if they were actually cheating. Because once again, they did worse when they were cheating. They scored less runs. Evidence? There's stats, facts, undeniable proof. Stuff you can't just deny. Oh, evidence and facts? We don't like it because feelings. Okay? So if you don't like facts, you care about feelings, then let's get down to the feeling of this World Series for the Houston Astros fans. One, we already talked about how they technically weren't cheating, but okay, we were still stealing signs. Two, we talked about how it was impossible for them to cheat in the playoffs. Article and description. Three, we were talking about how they did worse when they were cheating. And now, so every single evidence stacks against any argument y'all can make against the Astros. Every single argument. The last one. It's not how it feels. You know how this feels to Astros fans? Let's look at 2017. You know why they're wearing Houston Strong? Because of Hurricane Harvey. Okay? Because of my grandma losing her house. My Mimi, Linda Burr. Because of her losing her house in that flood. Because of my friend having his entire first floor, two-story house. I wish he's a good friend. The entire first floor had to be completely redone because of that flood. Another one of my friends lost his house in that flood. Houston was a disaster. Many people lost their homes. Many people lost much of their belongings that are irreplaceable, including stuff that my grandma lost. They almost lost their cat. Okay, they were lucky to save their cat. Not everyone was so lucky. Not everyone was so lucky to even survive this. This was a devastating, one of the worst floods. If actually not one of, this was the worst flood Houston has ever seen. This was the worst flood my hometown has ever seen. This was the worst flood my family has ever seen. Okay? And for someone like me, I didn't grow up with the Oilers. I didn't get to see the Oilers have a little bit of success going to championship games. They didn't make a Super Bowl, but they went to conference championship games. I didn't get to see the Rockets win NBA Finals. I didn't. What I got was soccer. I didn't really care about soccer, but that's about it at that point. This was my fair sport I cared about, going up in making that World Series in this emotional year. The year I turned 18. This was my adulthood year. I turned 18 that year. This was the year there was a lot going on in my personal life as well. Don't want to go into that right now. This World Series kind of was an escapism, a moment of hope, a moment of excitement. Took us out of all this devastation from my personal life, from what Houston was going through. And it wore that Houston pride, H tough, Houston patch for all those people. For my family, they were to represent us. They were representing us in that World Series. Such an emotional World Series. And to top it off, it was the first real championship game I got to experience. First real championship I got to experience being a Houston fan. Texans haven't done anything. Rockets were before I was born. And there's a lot of people like that, I bet. Not everyone, but there was a lot of people like it. This was their first championship. And beyond that, this was also the first, no matter what, the first World Series the Astros ever won. Yeah, they won in 2005. They got swept. That was another emotional year for different reasons. That was a miracle run. Kind of like the Nationals miracle run of 2019, except they did better. But this was emotion. It was a very emotional World Series. This World Series means everything to a lot of people, including myself. And you know what? It doesn't matter what y'all do. It doesn't matter what y'all say. All the facts are on my side. All of it. Y'all may have people who feel bad for losing, but I guarantee if the Dodgers won, it would not be they would not have nearly the same emotional connection as the Astros any Astros fans have right now. It's something unique to the Astros that I'm sure only Saints fans can kind of relate to, or maybe was it Giants fans after 9/11 for New York. There's just not just it's a rare occasion type of deal, and you can't take that thing from us, especially when the facts and evidence are on our side. We have the emotional support, we have the facts, and we got the evidence. And at this point, if you sit down and say the Astros World Series is illegitimate despite everything saying otherwise, then you're just stupid. And like I said, this is my last video on it. This is my last stance. If y'all disagree with anything I'm saying, then y'all are just dumb. Every single fact that I've stated in this video, you can look up. I'm putting them in the description. This World Series means too much. So we're not just going to sit down and take it. We're not just going to give it up. And you know what? I don't give a rat's ass how other people feel about it. The facts are on my side, and I don't give rat's ass how other people feel about it. Because guess what? We have strong feelings for it too. Y'all aren't the only ones that have strong feelings towards this. Because we do too. And we're not just going to give it up.